to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
The secret of life is learning to balance your dreams with the truth.
And Dale Hummel.
Strong people stand up for themselves, but stronger people stand up for others.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, I know I'm assuming you're still in Houston. Last time we recorded, you were in Houston. I was in Houston.
I've been in Houston for 3 weeks. I'm here till it's over.
Yeah, I migrated to Austin, and now I'm in Hawaii. I'm at a hotel in Hawaii. You're in that old hotel in Houston still?
I'm at the Holiday Inn, Dale, right by the fairgrounds.
Oh, that's right. That's not, I don't know if it's old or not, but that's not your usual in terms of just the type of hotel you stay in.
Yes, it is. No, but I mean, this is where I stay in Houston. So why is that important?
You're kind of moved in there. Maybe you should have just bought a room or bought part of the hotel or something. I don't want to see your hotel bill. I do not want to see it.
I'm good.
Well, I would like to open up with our fragile president, Biden. He's no longer just a joke. He's responsible for the weakening of the free world. That's my opening for you, Ryan.
Okay, that's great.
It's eating me every day, everything that's going on. And let's just think about where we're at right now. And there's sides being more clearly defined between the East and the West, or basically China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, US, UK, Japan, and a handful of others. But we have this situation going on that I'm unsure how or why. But India right now is leaning towards the East or towards China and Russia. Saudi Arabia is not taking Biden's calls, and they're considering shifting from the US dollar to the Chinese yen in terms of their oil sales and taking the Chinese yen when they sell oil to China. This is going to weaken the U.S. dollar. It's going to weaken the U.S. dominance in terms of stability in the world. There's a lot of things going on, and I can promise you Biden is not picking his team well. For some reason, they're migrating away from him, and it's a point that's very serious right now, how these alliances end up, because it's a bad place out there.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, I mean, this is who these people elected.
I only hope that something changes.
Nothing's going to change until the next presidential election.
Well, no, but I'm not, and I don't. That's where I'm at. I don't know that we can survive 3 more years.
He's not getting impeached.
His incompetence is a much greater grounds for impeachment than anything I've seen in the history of impeachments. And if we can't be smart enough to understand, then we're in trouble. Period. Done. You don't have to worry about the next stock show or whatever is going on, because the world is falling apart, period. It's very, very concerning.
Well, they're not going to impeach him, and they're not going to invoke the 25th Amendment. So you can either sit here.
Will he open up the energy reserves? Will he get enough pressure to open up energy?
No. He said he's not going to do it.
He has no choice. He has to do it.
He is the president of the United States. He has all the choices. Then what planet are you on right now? You say you're at OIE, but evidently you're not in America.
He is going to get enough pressure. He's always governing from behind, and I believe that he will eventually open that up because he has no choice. What about the fact that he tells Putin, we're not going to engage Russia at all? And every time he comes out and says that, Russia levels another city and pushes a little harder, a little further. It is unbelievable. Putin is in a position right now in Ukraine where he's made several mistakes thinking he could go in there and kick the governing party out, put somebody in place, and everything would be great and do it without much trouble. Well, now, because the resistance and the desire to be in a free country by a lot of the population in Ukraine, they're going to fight back. Putin knows he can't handle the urban warfare. So what's he going to do when he can't go in there and just kick the leadership out and replace them? He's going to flatten these cities to get the entire population out of the country. Once he does that, it's a no-win situation. I know, Ryan, you and I have argued a little bit about why he's in there. I believe that he's in there. Obviously, there's some reasons that go beyond this, but the main reason he's in there is to keep democracy off his doorstep. And I think he's done himself a disservice because the Russian people are seeing how hard the Ukrainians are fighting to keep that freedom, things that they're missing out on. And I think his entire invasion was a mistake if that was a pretense that he's going to try to keep democracy away from Russia. And I hope I'm right on that one. And I hope those people in Russia again continue to do what they can to get him removed in any manner they can.
Dale, what kind of drugs are you on today?
Zero. None. This is all very genuine for me.
You might need to think about getting on some.
Why do you think he's in Ukraine?
It doesn't matter why he's in Ukraine. We've talked about it 900 times. It does not matter why he's there. He is there, and he's not going to stop, and no one is going to stop him.
He doesn't win. Once he levels Ukraine, I don't know what he gets out of it.
It's a win for him. He controls that landmass.
I guess, but I don't believe that was his only goal. I don't doubt that he wants to control that. I agree with that part, but I believe it was the fear of democracy spreading. That is why I think he went in, and it did not work out very well.
Are you listening to what you're saying, sir? You just said that it's a fear of democracy spreading to Russia. That's why he went into Ukraine. If he levels Ukraine and takes out all the people, he has crushed the country that had democracy.
No, I think he's brought more attention to it by doing what he's doing and watching the Ukrainians stand up for what they believe in. He's brought more attention that democracy is something that the Russian people are seeking, would like to have, where before they could just go along without maybe paying as much attention to it. So I think it's reversing on him.
Oh, Lord. Okay,
I'm going to move on to something worse than Putin. Far, far worse. And if the world population doesn't see this, it's shocking to me. But I promise you, as we're watching Putin doing what he's doing, Xi in China is controlling a lot of what Putin does or does not do, in my opinion. Maybe not totally, but it's there. And we talked about last time, he's looking for every action and reaction by the world from Putin to what we're doing. And he came out and made a very strong statement that if anybody interferes with what he's going to do in Taiwan, there will be a serious military action by China, basically threatening nuclear war. Why is he doing that? Because Putin did it, Biden backs down. I don't want nuclear war. But I can assure you, when they know they can just toss that out there and get whatever they want, they're going to continue to do that. It's not going to change whether a nuclear war happens or doesn't happen now or 2 years from now or whenever. But the one thing we can do, and I've been preaching this for a very, very long time, our government right now, the Biden administration is not doing anything to preserve the sovereignty of our country. We, the people, need to continue to speak up however we possibly can. And if you're not making conscious decisions right now to avoid buying Chinese-made products because of your convenience, because it's easier not to, I get it. And there's some products we can't even purchase that aren't made in China. We don't have a choice on some. But any product you have a choice to buy Chinese or not, you are basically funding the demise of the free world by supporting China. We are funding them to take over our own country. Sounds extreme, sounds crazy. Just where I'm at. Biden TikTok. What about Biden TikTok?
I don't even know about Biden TikTok. What is Biden's TikTok?
He's got the influencers now pushing the attention away from the inflation and the Biden gas hikes to all Putin inflation, Putin gas hikes. I think they both can maybe take the responsibility for it.
I am out of the loop on that, so I do not know about any of the pushing, making Putin to blame or anything like that. But like, it doesn't. All of this. I understand your concerns and all this other stuff, but again, I am here trying to be real, and he's not going to get impeached. They're not going to invoke the 25th Amendment, so therefore, he is your president until the next election. And I know you believe, or you want to believe, that that's going to change. I don't see that happening. Maybe if at the midterms, if like they get 75% of the Senate, a 3/4 majority, that could be your only hope. And they would have to have control of the Congress and whatever. Because it takes a 3/4 majority to impeach a sitting president. We went over this when they kept doing it on Trump. And it's not going to happen with the numbers right now. On the Putin thing, he's not going to stop until he's stopped, and no one's going to stop him just because of what you just said. You answer your own questions, and then you, go off on it. He's not going to stop till he's stopped. Ukraine cannot stop him. They're doing a very good job. They're valiant and heroic and whatever, and all of that is true. he can flatten that entire country if it comes to it. There is no doubt. And he is not going to quit because he's too far in now. If he quits, then he will be thrown. Russia will rise up and try to take over. So there is no quitting. There is no option for him other than to continue on this path.
When is it over in Ukraine? Once he flattens every city, then we're over?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what dictates when it's over.
I don't even know what the population of Ukraine is, Dale, but over 5 million have left. They're not there. He will flatten or kill.
It's about 2 million or a little over that have left, but they are leaving fast. And the population is great, but I think if he flattens the cities, they don't have any choice. They have to leave.
I swear on Fox News they said 5 million. I swear they said on Fox News 5 million.
I don't know where the numbers are. But if he's trying to get them out, it's working.
He has no choice but to continue on. He is on that path. So unless he gets stopped, and nobody's going to stop him because it's not a NATO country. We've been over this 30,000 times. The China-Taiwan thing, China is biding its time, letting this play out. Then he's going to make a decision on how bad this was for Putin, what the repercussions were, all this other stuff, before he decides to act on Taiwan. He probably invoked him to do this so he could watch the playbook, know what happens, see it all go down, and then he's going to make his decision on what to do.
That is exactly what's happening.
And I agree with you that if you can not buy China stuff, that'll help some. The president is the one that has to make the change. We as individual citizens can speak out. We cannot buy.
I can't accept if he's not making the change.
Well, he's not. If you can't accept it,
No,
you
he's
don't.
not.
That's why I asked you, where are you at currently? Because you say you're in Oklahoma City, but evidently you're not.
Then you better find another option. If he's not going to do it, then you better keep looking for another option. I don't know what the option is, but I hope somebody smarter than me figures it out, because we cannot continue down the path with him at the wheel. It can't. It's going to do more damage than what we have any idea. Life in the democracy worldwide as we know it is going to change if something doesn't happen.
I am just telling you, I do not believe that he will not finish out his term. That's just that's all I got on that.
Understand. Well, Ryan, clearly we are not going to agree how to fix the world. But with that, let's go to something more positive. Well, I don't know if it's going to be positive or not. We're going to move on to our main topic either way.
Yeah, well, before we do that, I want to. You do realize that your buddy, your BFF, Mr. Boxall, he's making people very angry on the social medias.
I noticed that there was an apology for something. Yes,
you need to talk to your boyfriend, and y'all need to get this worked out. Because
speaking of that, I do need to bring in Pope Joy Livestock Hauling is back, east to west and back and forth, and occasionally a trip to the south. I continue to get positive feedback from Pope Joy Livestock Hauling, and we do have Boxall Manufacturing as our sponsor for this episode. Even though he got in trouble, they are trying to find a better way to provide the needs of the stock show industry. Thank you to both Stephen Popejoy at Popejoy Livestock Hauling and Mr. Boxall, if he's not in jail, at Boxall Manufacturing.
Bad Mr. Boxall. Bad Mr. Boxall.
Well, he got thrown in Facebook jail. That was kind of the start of the downhill spiral.
See what happens when you serve time? You just become like a thug.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know, but I have a BTR JLA sponsorship. And it is our national hog sponsor. It is McGrew Equipment Company, Sales, Service, and Auctions. They are a full-service auction company. They feature one of the nation's largest weekly farm and construction equipment auctions each week. They have buyers worldwide on all types of farm equipment, bulldozers, backhoes, anything you can think of. McGrew Equipment Company has a little bit of everything. They have several auctions throughout the year. They also feature partial or complete sellouts for farmers, contractors, new equipment dealers, landscapers, estates, individuals. I mean, they do it all, and I know that they have some pretty big sales coming up. We really appreciate their sponsorship of the hog division on a national level for BTR JLA. So definitely get out there and look up McGrew for your equipment needs.
It is time.
Wait, I'm not done.
Oh, you have a top 10.
Yes, duh.
Which species? Which species?
Your species, the goats.
Excellent. Arizona.
Pretty much. But no, right now in the nationwide top 10 in overall goats. And again, like people like it when we do this and they're asking. So I just want to like put this out there. So if at the end of the year on December 31st, the top 10 overall in the goats, they're all going to receive like an NFR type jacket. That's what the top 10 in each species are going to receive. And the winner is going to receive a Schliff sculpture of an animal that they choose. Now, we won't get to give that to them right away because they'll have to send the picture to Mr. Schliff and he'll make the sculpture and then send it to them. But that's what being in the top 10 overall in the species gets you. And right now, Kiara Rogers of Gilbert, Arizona is first. I'm assuming this is her sibling, Reagan Rogers of Gilbert, Arizona in second. Jackson King of Quitman, Missouri is third. Piper Liska of Yuma, Arizona is fourth. Hannah Jones of Flora, Mississippi is fifth. Casey Cleggs, I may have said that wrong, and if I did, I'm sorry, Casey. League City, Texas is next. Sophia White of Blythe, California. Richard Trey Spencer of Roby, Texas, Carly Parrott of Winona, Texas, and rounding out the top 10 this week in the GOATs is Cameron Shelton of Springville, California.
That's a little more spread out than we've had.
Yes.
A little. Warm weather states, but still spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. The main topic today brought to you by Ryan Rash.
That's right.
It was your idea, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you there really wasn't a lot of discussion on this one?
No, I told you I'd do it by myself.
The topic is do better.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm going to get a lot of hate mail, and I really don't care because this all needs to be said. And Dale, like, when you gave your dissertation on the livestock hauling commercial, you just sit there. And, so, and
while you're doing that, I'm going to figure out how to get Biden out of office. I'm
oh,
work
there
on
you
that.
go.
So you just go on at it.
I'm sure you can find some really unique question and answers that I'll get more hate mail from. So this will be the episode that ends the game. But anyway. So I'm going to preface this by saying that, like, I only speak on things that I watch. I don't speak on things that I wasn't there and I heard something about. What I'm talking about here, I have all seen with my own eyes. And so I want that to be out there. I was at Fort Worth. I was at San Antonio. I have been at Houston for 3 weeks. I'm obviously not at OYE, not going to OYE this year. So I can only speak on things that I have seen or heard or been told and the conversations I have had. But I'm going to start with the fact that as adults, we have to remember this is a children's sport. And I'm just going to tell you that I have been shocked, dumbfounded, and quite frankly, just annoyed on a level like never before of adults bashing kids that have been successful. And I'm not saying only on social media. I'm talking about I've had personal conversations where this has happened. Like, I'm going to give for instance, I'm not going to call anybody out by name or anything like this. Was talking to a father and a wife in front of their children, and this man starts going off on this one exhibitor and why he wins and what he does and all, or she does, all this stuff. And so I just sit there and I play dumb and I listen. And so at the end I said, "Where's that kid from?" And gentleman didn't have an exact town. He gave me like a rough location, but didn't know where town he was from. I said, "How old is that kid?" Didn't have an exact age, but gave like junior, senior, sophomore, I don't know, high school, something like that. And so I said, "I can tell by your answer to those two questions right there, you have never had a conversation of any depth with that child whatsoever at all. You don't know where this person is from. You don't know how old this child is. You know nothing. So all of your opinions have been formed out of jealousy because that child is successful and you would rather run your head about a kid than do better for your own. It's not acceptable. It's not."
You do have an opinion on this one, Ryan. No question. I get where you're coming from, and I agree 100%. And I'm afraid that a lot of those that have success there's a portion of the population that is going to be jealous just of the success. I have seen a difference in youth. Some youth that handle the success differently than others and are maybe not brought down as much. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. We're always dealing with children. And as you made a point there, and some of it is strictly out of jealousy. However, there are some, and the attitudes of those kids that are showing is going to make a difference on how they're perceived. If they win and are somewhat humble and gracious about it versus being very arrogant and boastful about it, I think there's a difference in the public's perception. But I'm going to go back to what you stated. The majority of the people probably do not know those kids, and under that circumstance, it's difficult to even form an opinion, I guess, or even have an opinion. So I get it and I see it, and it's not something new. It's been here forever. I think that it's from time to time it rises up like what you're seeing right now.
But I think it's at an all-time high, and that's why part of this do better conversation is. And then the other half of this ticket is the fact that when we go on social media or we bash the animal that won, not even saying the child or the family, but the animal that won, and I got county faired at this show, or whatever you want to put on social media, or whatever you want to say to someone else about it, I would like for you to remember this. One day, and it's probably already happened, your kid was the winner, will be the winner. How would you feel if you saw that post or heard that conversation or somebody came up and told you what was said about your kid's animal when you were the winner? I'm going to suspect you'd be madder than hell, and you have every right to be, because you are taking away from that child's moment in the sun, and it's not right.
No, I agree completely, Ryan. And I have not been on social media this week, so I can't speak from what's going on right now, but I darn sure can speak about history in the past. And I understand people are upset. I understand that they're not happy with this judge or that judge or something that did or didn't happen. And it could be all kinds of different reasons that they can be upset about it. But I think Ryan makes very, very valid points there. I understand that you want to vent, you want to be frustrated, all of those things. And if you truly are upset about that, social media is the absolute wrong direction to take it. Take it to the superintendent, take it to somebody else, and try to have that adult conversation, and maybe some change will come from it. I don't think any change is going to come from social media.
Getting up there and bashing a judge, a show, or winner, there's nothing that is not going to evoke any type of change at all on social media. And another thing that I want to point out about this is a lot of times people just react and they don't think about it. And so they write something up there and post it up there, and 30 minutes later they're like, I probably shouldn't have done that, and they take it down. A screenshot lasts forever. And I don't think you people think about that. And everyone screenshots it. And I'm telling you, as a judge, as a person that has been bashed on social media, as a judge, as someone that helps kids, all this stuff, the first thing people want to do is screenshot it and show it to you. I do not know why, but I promise you this is the case. And they may not have your number, and I don't think that most of the people that attend these major shows has the judge's number or has the people that run the show's number or anything like that. But they're going to find somebody that they know to send it to them that's going to send it to whoever who it's eventually going to get there. And by the time it gets to that person that it's meant to smear and all that stuff, you may have taken it down. They still know. And they're going to find out. And it's never not going to be changed because you put it up there and somebody screenshotted it, and therefore it is forever. Take a lot. Anything.
Yeah, anything we post, not just this, just anything. And I know it's hard sometimes, and we're talking, I think, Ryan, you're talking primarily about adults, or at least older kids, but it just doesn't make sense. Think through it. I can tell you the first thing that I do when I am interviewing for an employee or even an internship, I go and look at their social media. I can get a pretty good read on where things are. And yeah, you may have taken it down and I may not see it on that glance, but just as Ryan's talking about in our industry, we like to think it's a monster industry and there's hundreds of thousands of people involved, but it comes
It's a
down
lot
to,
smaller than people
yes,
think it is.
It's going to get passed around. It just does. It is what it is. And maybe my advice for this is just think about what you're doing. And I know you're frustrated. And I know that these things get very heated, and I know it's entertaining for some to get on. And I think some of the people out there just thrive off of those things, Ryan, and almost instigate more and more. And it just, it's
the
not
comments, they just keep poking that bear, poke that bear, poke
Yep.
that bear. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, and she will validate this. I get mad, I get angry, I get worked up, and I will write something up, and I'm telling you, I send it to Callie every single time. I said, I haven't posted this yet, but this is what I want to post. And we will talk through it.
Oh, and I hope
And
she
sometimes
reels you
I
back
send it,
in.
and sometimes I send it to Dale, and I'm like, this is, and I will talk through it with somebody before I do it. I encourage everyone to do that. Find that person.
And it doesn't, and sometimes it doesn't even need talking through. It's just a matter of taking that time and letting time become a little more rational.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can talk through it with somebody, it's going to make a big difference. But I think a lot of these comments, there's no talking through. They're just throwing them up there it's just not good. And again, I apologize. I have not been on, so I don't even know what's been going on the last 2 weeks on social media, but I think you can pick any given day. If you wanted to search hard enough on social media in the stock show arena, you're going to find something like this, period.
Oh yeah. And I agree. I think it's probably at an all-time high right now because, and again, I understand for everybody that's not in Texas or Oklahoma, they don't have these shows that last 3 weeks at a time and then you go to another one and whatever. We're getting down to the end. Houston's about to wrap up. Austin's after that. These Texas folks have been going since, some of them since Congress, Cattlemen's Congress. They are tired. They are wore out. They've been at shows for weeks at a time. I get the frustration. I get the anger. I get all of that. But I'm also going to tell you, I cannot stress this enough. There are people out there that want to make people miserable and want to stir stuff up. So if you give them the ammunition, they are going to put it in the gun and they are going to shoot you with it. And that's just all there is to it.
Yes, and they're not. They have no care for you. This is all entertainment value.
Because they think that if they send this to somebody and it gets, hey, look what this son of a bitch did. Can you believe he wrote that about you? They think that's going to get them a leg up. I'm telling you, I have been on the side where I was the one. I know how it works. I know. I have seen it. And it will get back to those people. And again, the people that are judging these shows right now, and I'm going to get more into this in a little bit, they didn't go down to downtown Houston and find a guy at a bus stop and say, hey, do you want to come judge a show at the Houston Stock Show? No, they didn't do that. These people are in this industry. They have judged multiple times, judged shows at different levels, etc. Now, I don't think that we all have to be happy with the outcome. I don't. I'm not happy with the outcome all the time. But I'm telling you, it is not like they are maliciously picking people to screw up your child's chance at these stock shows. And I think there are people that think that.
No, I think there are. I'm going to go another direction with this, Ryan, and I agree that I don't think there's anybody out there hiring a judge thinking, well, we're going to bring this one in because he's going to screw it up. There are other reasons, and sometimes we don't do the research we should do in hiring some of the judges. And I think the hiring of judges is in very small number of hands. And I'm always going to advocate for more exhibitor input. I'm going to advocate anything. If the exhibitor is the customer, let's let them have a little more to do with it. I had a breeder in Austin here just yesterday, the day before, come up to me and was talking about judge selections and things like that, and made a comment, says, well, why don't we just make this very simple? And when you turn almost all the Texas majors and a lot of the Southern shows, you're declaring your weights. You turn a weight card in at a certain time or punch it in on digital or on the computer or whatever it may be. On that weight card, have a choice of 4 or 5, however many possible judges for the following year, and let that exhibitor decide. And I'm telling you, there's something to this, and I think it's starting to get some traction. And if we want to go down the political route, the whatever route you want to take it that we're unhappy about, well, guess what? If the exhibitors are deciding and there's a judge that doesn't work well with the kids, maybe they're inconsistent, maybe they're political, whatever that may be, I have a hard time thinking the exhibitor is going to vote for them the next time that person's name comes up. So I think the problem can almost take care of itself in this little aspect that we're talking about right here, Ryan, if we allow more exhibitor input into the situation. And I believe... And
you just stole my whole closing argument. I'm very mad.
Oh, I apologize. I wanted to point out a couple shows, and this is not exactly what I'm talking about, but Exarban has a system, I believe I was only aware of it as of last year, where they had a group of, I believe, 10 people involved in the industry, primarily breeders, that would nominate 2 judges for a certain species, for a certain show. Those names would come in, they'd kick those names back out to those same 10 people within the industry, and you'd rank them basically 1 through 10, 20, whatever the number was. And basically the low number is going to get the first call. I don't know that it's perfect, but I think they're reaching out. They're taking that control out of that one person's hand and trying to get some industry input. And when you're not just relying on one breeder, but you have a multitude of them from across the country, and then you come back together and actually vote on them, I think that's a step in the right direction. I believe Arizona National made a step to try to incorporate this in. I don't know what level they're at, but there's going to be some trial and error in it. But I think ultimately, if we can allow the exhibitor to have more input, I think we're going to have a better industry.
I agree with everything you're saying. I'm still mad that you stole my closing argument, but
I apologize. You need to tell me what those are ahead of time.
Well, we don't talk about this still. This isn't scripted. So
exactly.
You haven't even talked to me hardly at all since you won the Austin Goat Show. You're like better than me now, so I haven't even communicated with you. But anyway, so...
Or I've been on the road since you were however long.
Whatever.
Long time. Long time.
I think it's the fact that you won the Austin Goat Show and I am now a peasant. But anyway, we will move on.
We'll just go with that. That we can do that.
Everybody wants to gripe about a judge, whether he's political, he's not good with kids, he's not what, or she's not this, whatever. I get it. I understand it. I am going to tell you, I have watched a whole lot of shows from January till I will have seen almost the entire Houston Stock Show, Open, Junior, whatever. And I was at Congress the whole two. I've seen a lot. And I am telling you that I have seen things this year, just like I have every year, where I've watched somebody, and I am the first one that states at every show, judging is an opinion. It does not make my opinion right. It does not make my opinion wrong. I am not here to convince you I am right. I am going to give you my opinion, but when I get done on the microphone, I will have done everything in my power to explain to you so you can see and understand why I align those animals the way they are. That is what you have to do, because it's just an opinion. It is not a matter, it is not rocket science. It is just an opinion. And I have watched judges in the past few months. And I have watched what they've done. I did it. There was very few times I was like, this is really screwed up. But there were things I did not agree with. A lot of times when the judge talked, I could understand. There was times where the reasons did not make it logical or help or anything like that. And so I understand that frustration. I have watched shows this year where somebody told me what was going to happen before the show ever happened. That exact thing transpired. And when that judge got on the microphone, they didn't back that up with what they said about that animal or make that one viable or convince anybody that should have won. That happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. I think the whole thing is until we make a fundamental change in how judges are selected, nothing's ever going to change. And the attitudes are not going to get any better because they have no say in what happens as far as judge selection. And this is at every level, whether it's county, state fair, major shows, Texas major shows, whatever.
I think that's a great point, right? When the exhibitor feels they have a part or ownership it's going to go better. And I agree completely. It's just an opinion. However, and I get it. And I couldn't agree more with your exact statements. It's just an opinion. But I do believe there are certain criteria that judge has to all, and maybe I'm imposing my opinions and beliefs upon others, but there's certain things judges do need to do, and that's be as accommodating to the youth and as encouraging and as positive as they can in interacting with the youth. I think that is something that has to be there. I think it would be a good idea to be consistent, and I would hope that we could throw politics out the window. But how they place that class, completely with you, an opinion. But the other things need to happen as well.
I think that what needs to happen more than any of that is they need to actually talk the animals in the ring legitimately. No, I'm just being real honest.
But I still think that's to a certain degree subjective.
But that's what validates that person's opinion.
Agreed.
And the whole thing is, until we have a fundamental change that a very, very small group of people that, and I will say this, the majority of the time have no interaction with any of the kids or families that are actually, those decisions are affecting them. Until that very small group of people does not have control of who judges the shows, and the exhibitors and the families have a voice and are part of it, nothing is ever going to change. And the one thing that I want to bring up more than anything else, don't say, well, this show, we're not going to do that because we want to make sure that we have reputable judges. Put a list together of people that you think are capable, qualified, reputable to judge your show. Put that out there. Let them vote. And don't tell me it's too difficult to vote. You can do it a million different ways. I don't want to hear that. You know what that does? It gives the exhibitor and that family that's spending thousands of dollars and hours a say in it. That is going to make them happy. They are going to be more invested. They're going to band together with other people that they know. They're going to look at that list and say, hey, we all need to get together and vote for this person. All right? That's great. That is fostering good vibes and getting people to work together, bringing people together. There is no downside on that. You put the list together. You think these people are all capable? They vote. Here's the other thing. It holds everyone accountable. And when I mean everyone, I mean everyone accountable. It holds that show accountable for putting together a list of judges that the exhibitors and their families want to show to. It holds the exhibitors accountable by picking and voting for the right one. And most importantly, it holds that judge accountable, because if they go out there and they do a political, a half-ass, or aren't good with the kid's job, they're not going to get voted back in.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
And y'all can all take that and put it in your pipes and smoke it.
I think there's a lot to that, Ryan. And I also believe completely with what you're saying in that ownership side. Think about if you're the exhibitor that voted for that judge and you feel like you were not placed as high as you can, it's a little harder for you to jump up.
All you can say is, I got to choose better next time because I voted for that person.
It almost corrects itself over time.
It's a lot easier to bitch when you had no say in it. That man screwed me. That lady screwed me. That they were about to. If you voted and you voted for that person out in the ring, and the majority is going to have because they won the vote.
Ryan, I think that's that simple. And I do not believe those that are in charge of hiring judges, I don't think they're trying to make the wrong decision or anything like that, but they're not in the trenches. They don't know the connections that are out there. And sometimes we'll hire a judge that's very capable, but maybe so connected to some of those animals that are coming to the show that it's ridiculous. That judge should not accept the show to begin with, but these things are happening and they're happening too much. And it's not because people want it to happen. I think it's those that are doing some of the hiring maybe just don't know what's going on and the connections that are in place to avoid some of those situations. And if we put it in those exhibitors' hands, for the most part, those exhibitors that are out there doing this hauling from show to show, they see the differences. They know when they're getting a fair shake and when they're not. And I think that is the best direction we could possibly go. And with that said, those shows that reach out there and start doing a little more of this, I think they're going to see exhibitors migrate that direction. Your numbers are going to increase because they feel comfortable that they played a part in who that person is judging, and they feel they're going to get a fair shake when they show up at that show. There's too many dollars, Ryan. You mentioned how many dollars are spent in this industry. it's too much time, it's too much effort, it's too much all those things to not do the absolute best job you can to put a judge in that ring that those exhibitors are going to feel comfortable with and feel like they've got a fair shake.
I need to understand the downside of having the judge that the majority of the people that are coming to that show wanted out there in the ring. Somebody gonna have to explain me the downside of that. Because
I think it's giving up the control or the power.
Then that person needs to get over themselves.
I don't know. Maybe just because the idea hasn't been thrown out there before. Maybe a few people will listen. Our 10 listeners will start to spread the word.
If every show puts a list together of people that they think is competent, capable, that they would have judge their show, and then the people get to vote and get their voice heard, I do not see a downside in the majority ruling and being, hey, you know what? We're excited. This is the one we voted for, and it's going to be the majority of the barn. How does that not foster goodwill, good vibes, make the show better? Now, again, if the person goes out there and screws it all up, vote better the next time. But there is no downside other than what you said. They don't want to give up control, and if they can't overlook that, because they have control. They put the list together. They still have control for the betterment of the kids and the families that are out here doing this. I can't go there. I can't accept that. I will not accept that. I won't.
One thing I would like to make clear is when, and I'm good with that committee putting a list of 3, 4, 5, however many they want. But I don't want this to be a social media voting thing or any. I want, and I should rephrase that. You could set it up so it works on social media, but I want it to be that one exhibitor gets one vote. If they were exhibiting this year, they get to vote for next year, and that's on a weight card or something like that. I don't want the masses that aren't even participating in that event voting, but rather those exhibitors at that particular show, ideally speaking.
I agree with that it should be one vote per exhibitor and all that other stuff. There are ways to do it, all this other. It still needs to be transparent. The results need to be transparent, and they need to be published and out there, and totals or percentages for who all was out there. So again, they feel like not only was their vote counted, but they can see the results of that vote. And that's an important part. Because just saying, oh, we're going to let you vote, and then everybody doesn't see how they were ranked and what the deal was, it's not going to work. Because they're going to be like, yeah, they just chose who they wanted to, and they're making us feel better thinking we have a say in it. That won't work. That will not work.
No, we need to avoid that at all costs.
I do want to say this, and I'm probably going to fumble it and whatever. I don't care. Probably not going to come out as eloquent as it can be, but I think we need to redirect our focus and what we use social media for in the livestock show industry. And when I say that, instead of putting up there on social media, well, I got screwed over, I got county faired, we know who's going to win the show already, all that other stuff, are bashing shows because the lines were too long in the trailer lot and the staging area. They don't like the volunteers, all this other negative stuff that I've seen, and the whining about everything. See, that does nothing for anybody. It doesn't help a kid. It doesn't help a show. Nothing. Instead, use your social media to try to enact positive change. Just like this deal. You got an opinion about judges, you don't like who you showed to, put a post together saying, hey, this is how I think judges should be picked at whatever show. Post about your favorite judge. Don't go and bash the one you just showed to. Change your focus and change your direction on social media, because the negative stuff don't do jack shit for anyone.
Very well stated. I agree, Ryan, and I hope we can do that. And as we wind up here, and I don't know if Ryan has any more, but I'm going to apologize to our listeners. I'm in a Hampton Inn somewhere in Yukon, Oklahoma, with very, very poor internet service, so it's been very choppy. I can hear most of the words Ryan says, maybe half of them, and I don't know that they can always hear me. So it's going to be a little choppy. Our producer Clifton's going to have his hands full. But Ryan, I appreciate it. I know you've been on the road for quite a while. I made it home for a day before I jumped on a plane for Oklahoma City, but hopefully this episode gets some traction. And I hope that it does some positive for the industry.
Well, I just have one other thing to sum this up, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I mean this with all sincerity, and y'all need to listen. I don't tell you need to listen to me. You need to listen to me about this. Every single one of us that love this industry, participate in this industry, make our livelihoods from this industry, are just a fan, an advocate, whatever, we all have to do better. Because one person, one group can't do it alone. You can't put it on the shows to do better. You can't put it on the judges to do better. You can't put it on the kids to do better. All of us have to do better. And it starts with you. Change your focus, change your attitude. Try to be positive. Try to affect positive change in any way you can. Whether it is small at the county fair or if you are somebody that can impose big sweeping change, do better for all of us.
Absolutely, Ryan. And thank you for bringing this topic to the surface and talking about it with some passion. It is appreciated. Ryan, with that said, it is time for question and answer. Are you ready?
Bring it on. Yeah, bring it on.
Scott, this one comes from Scott. Dale and Ryan, I am curious to get your opinion on what the most competitive market shows are in the country. Oh, that's a whole topic, I think, episode. But have at it, Ryan.
Again, people are going to say that I'm a homer or whatever. I'm just like, here for
I'll
Texas.
say it. Don't
but
you worry. I got it.
And in sheer numbers alone, you can look at the numbers from the Texas majors and the market and the junior breeding shows, and they rival any show across the nation. Just look at the volume and numbers there. Look at the amount of scholarship money, auction money, premium money, all of those things that are up for grabs at these shows, much less the prestige or the number of families that are so dedicated to this. So I would say that Texas majors are among them. I'm not going to sit there and say that they're absolutely the only competitive. I think there's lots of competitive shows across the nation, but I think you would have to group the Texas major shows in there as right at the top.
No, and I think they're there for those exact reasons, Ryan. And I also think when you have the opportunity to have a national show where you have in theory, some of the best coming from every state together, whether it be American Royal, the North American, Arizona, Denver, there's plenty we can list. And I think it fluctuates from year to year. Some years that the Arizona Steer Show may be strong. It may be weak the next year. Or the Goat Show at Kansas City was amazing this year. So it does fluctuate a little bit. So that's a tough question, Scott. I wish I could do a little better answering that one, but it is competitive and it continues to become more and more competitive every year at all of the majors in Texas, OYE, the national shows, even given state fairs that are incredibly competitive. So it's kind of a loaded question, Scott, but it's something that I think you'd have to break down by species, by show, and it would take a very, very long time. Do appreciate you submitting the question, and hopefully that gives you at least a partial answer. The next one comes to us from Nathan. And this one's to Ryan. It doesn't even have my name on it, Ryan.
Perfect.
Ryan, I have not recently heard any Cherie stories. Please share. I truly enjoy your mother.
Then would you like to come take her? Because I'm willing to give her away if you would like her.
Come on now.
I mean,
no, you're
by
not.
all means. She is here.
Your trust fund would go with her.
Well, she is here. She is at the Rodeo Houston of it all. She is here for the steer show, and that's all I got. She's large and in charge. She went shopping today, and I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Enough on the Cherie update. The last question comes from Jennifer. Ryan and Dale, I love every episode of your podcast. That's a good start, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, so far. Wait till they hear this one.
How do you determine topics and if you're going to bring a guest on or not?
Well, this is real simple. I continually submit a list of topics to Dale every single week, and he doesn't pick any of the ones that he submits no topics. And so he will wait till the darkest hour right before we're going to record him. Like, we don't have a topic. And I'll send him the list again, and he'll pick the first one up at the top. And that's how it is. And there's no whatever. So it's always the latest topic that I've come up with. So that's the one he picks. On the guest thing, we just had Kate on here not too long ago. The thing about guests, and I like guests, I think it's great and grand and wonderful, and we probably need to have more of them, but it is very hard to coordinate between mine and Dale's schedules alone, and then Clifton, and then you add another party into this. It's just very, very hard to do. And a lot of times, obviously, most of those guests don't have professional podcasting equipment, all this other stuff. And so there's just a lot more red tape involved in guests, but we probably should do those more. And I'll be honest with you about this too. A lot of the other livestock show podcasts rely on having a guest every week, and we don't have to. So there, I said it.
Fair enough. That's one of your more accurate answers that I've heard, and I would agree with that. I do contribute an occasional topic, but it is usually a list coming from Ryan, and I don't like most of them. And then he comes up with something at the last minute, and away we go. Pretty simple for the most part. But I appreciate you guys out there listening. Let's hope the world is a better place tomorrow and the next day, and maybe we get Biden out of office in some manner. But until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear? And do better.